gun, and they're off.
Good. So looks like Trinity had a slightly sharper start than perhaps Balliol, and are rating quite a little bit higher than Balliol, closely followed by Magdalen, who are again underrating Trinity a little bit. And it looks like there's a little bit of a situation arising around St Anne's. They are being chased quite hard by Somerville, down to about half a length off the start. And they just, both crews just need to keep it relaxed and just maintain their boat speed that they have now. And we have a bump at the top of the division. Trinity have bumped Balliol.
So Trinity will now need to clear the racing line for the oncoming crews, and it looks like Somerville have really closed up in St Anne's. We've just panned away where we can see, is that Brasenose following St John's quite strongly?
Somerville, I believe. Oh yes, Brasenose. Yes, we're walking on St John's with Cats, probably about now a length of 3/4 behind. So it does look like Johns have walked. That Brasenose have walked on Cats, and we do have a bit again, another little bit of a something occurring. We've got St Anne's appeared to be walking on Trinity, who don't know.
No, that's Magdalen, I believe.
Yes, sorry, who are walking on Magdalen, apologies, but are being very closely pursued by Somerville. So it would be interesting to keep an eye on those crews as they come out of the gut to see how that situation develops.
Oh, and Brasenose are basically on top of St John's right now. St John's 5-seat having a bit of a duff stroke there, which will obviously slow them right down. And the Johns Cox is holding on, not conceding, although there we go, there's the concession. And the 3-boat sandwich at the top of the division is looking quite intense.
Yeah, so if we follow those crews out of the gut, we should be able to get a better view on the distances as they come onto that top stretch. So St Anne's are walking on Magdalen down to probably at Cambus of Clearwater between those crews as they come out of the gut. Both crews starting to look a little tired. So it will really be about who can hold on the longest.
And I think the Somerville Cox just took the bay a bit too steeply there. They looked like they'd sort of steered right into it, and that has dropped their boat speed, so they're no longer quite as close to St Anne's, and that might be quite a dangerous move because St Anne's are looking ever so close to that bump on Magdalen.
Of course, and when you're in those 3-boat sandwiches, you have to be so careful because the crew in front will hit the straight in the river before you and will get that advantage of not having to steer, which I think is what we're seeing here with St Anne's. And they have got overlap. It's quite significant overlap. And I think they are either just waiting for that concession or that contact that means that they can safely wind down and clear.
And we've got Balliol paddling, rowing at the head of the division, looking quite comfortable. And it looks like St Anne's have cleared. So I think that's a bump for St Anne's, meaning Somerville have got a lot of work to do to catch Magdalen.
Yep, so they look like they found a good rhythm as they come along the green banks, and they just need to keep working that rhythm and just grinding those crews in front down and reeling them in. I think it can be deceptive when you're rowing as to how fast you think you will be gaining on something. Oftentimes these overtakes or these catching up to crews in front is a long and slow and painful progress, and you're gaining inches every stroke rather than necessarily lengths.
Exactly, yeah, they've got to sit strong, be positive that they are faster and not do anything different unless the Cox specifically asks for it. Because as soon as one of them thinks, I'm going to get this bump on my own, then that's when it will all fall apart and they'll actually end up slowing the boat down.
Yeah, and up at the back of the division, it potentially looks like Brasenose have walked on Johns and have got that down, so it's a little bit difficult to tell with the crossing, which will be exaggerating that distance. But it looks like they have walked them down to not very much distance at all, perhaps a quarter of a length, and they'll be looking to close that again once they are on the straight.
Yes, and we have, it looks like St John's chasing Lincoln College, potentially. Yeah, that would make sense. They have probably had a bit of a better crossing. I think Lincoln probably had to use a bit more rudder there. And Lincoln are just looking a little bit tired there. They're rowing quite short now. And St John seems to just have a little bit more send, but with half a boat length between them, I think there's a chance that they might just hold on to that row over there.
Absolutely. And when you're making these pushes, as we can see that Lincoln are doing so now, you have to really consider the compromise between taking more strokes, the length of that stroke, and how well you can apply that power and let the boat run out. And actually, the blades are not in the water. That's actually the fastest element of the stroke, is just after the blades are removed, and you don't want to skim that speed at all.
Yeah, the phrase of making the boat work for you is as prevalent at rate 34, whatever these crews will be rating now, as it is at kind of the lower rates. So, your 16, your 18, where you really notice that recovery a lot more because it's just longer. So, yeah, they'll need to really let that boat run underneath them. But at this stage, I think they just want to get to the end.
Yeah, and they are running out of river, those crews. So if they do want to make that push, if Johns do want to close on Lincoln for that push, they really do need to go now. They're just coming off the top of the Boathouse Island, and they really have a sprint finish left and not an awful lot more.
And we see Cats at the bottom of the division rowing incredibly hard, but there's just too much space between them and St John's, who are in front of them now.